So SRT is going to lose badging for SRT. And then they're going to start putting these little bumblebees on every goddamn thing. It's like, well, it's like, well, why can't they? They got to do something. Look, oh shit, look at that, 392. So anyway, they got to do something about that. Like, get the letters back. Like, we don't care how you do it, just get it done. I want to be able to say, yeah, SRT's better than all this fucking Japanese supported shit. And I want to be able to keep it simple. I don't want to have to start going into details and talking about scat packs and fucking red eyes. I don't want to have to do all that. And this guy's got he's got like a spoiler edition on his car. Yeah, he must be showing off for me because he knows I ain't trying to raise him. I'll let him go. It's like everything begins and ends. His girlfriend is probably like, "Oh, honey, slow down, slow down. It's too dangerous in race cars for New York City. It's much too dangerous to drive race cars here. Why don't we get a nice slow Infinity or something?" He's got his girlfriend in there, and I know she's scared. She's like, "Yeah, what is this fucking asshole doing?" It's like I should have married a nice young Jewish boy with a Prius or a Chrysler minivan. I should have gotten me a guy with a fucking Honda Accord instead of having one of these boys who likes these race cars. It's much too dangerous to have race cars in New York City. All this goddamn traffic. Can't enjoy shit. Look at this car. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This is great. But how long do I have to wait for new products? 2021, 2022? Where the fucking new products? I need something new. It's like, how am I supposed to be a deeply indebted American citizen if I don't have new products? I mean, we're 20-something trillion dollars in debt. You don't get there by making good financial decisions. You don't get to $20 trillion in debt by having anything other than a Republican and a Democrat government that's just wasting all your fucking money and then lying to you about it. Look at that. It's that Durango. So most of the hype that came about last week for the wide-body Charger concept has for the most part died down, just as I expected it to. The simple fact of the matter is I really wasn't convinced that this car was going to come out, especially now that we're getting so close to 2020. And there were a couple of reasons why I wasn't convinced. First of all, FCA hasn't announced that there was going to be a wide body. All of the hype and speculation was based simply on a concept car that was actually made, and for all we know, that's a one-off. And the issue that I saw was the pricing. I was reading in an article, and I'll post the link so this way you can see it, but sales have actually started to decrease for the Challenger and the Charger in general, and most likely that's because of, a lot of Americans are tapped out. They ain't got the money. And the simple thing is, the wide-body Challenger basically stickers at about $78,000. Now, that's $8,000 over the $70,000 Challenger Hellcat. And you also know that they also offer wide bodies on Scat Pack Challengers, which I think is a stupid mistake because the problem is now these things look so much alike until if you have somebody who debadges or unbadges, you really can't tell what the damn thing is unless you look under the hood. But the mere fact that having electric steering and having that wide body molding and the new panel design and those bigger tires, mind you, because a lot of people think that when they buy these cars, they don't realize how much those tires cost until they have to actually replace them. But that adds damn near $8,000 to the sticker of a $70,000 car. So I'm thinking to myself, well, the Charger's already between $4,000 and $5,000 more if you take out certain factors such as, adaptive cruise control and the moonroof. So I'm thinking, does Dodge really want to build an $80,000 Dodge Charger? Because that's exactly what it would cost. The Charger's already $4,000 or $5,000 more than the Challenger. And if you put that $6,000 wide body package on there, now you're going to push this thing way into the $80,000 range. When I had got mine, the sticker on that thing was like 73 or 74. And after taxes all said and done, you're talking about damn near $76,000, and that's with no wide body package. Now, I do realize a lot more people have been leasing these things, wherein I had financed mine, and I really wish to God I had waited, and this way I could have just leased the damn thing, and I would have been paying about $400 or $500 less a month. But you think about it, let's say they were to release a wide body Charger, let's say at the end of this year, or even next year. It would still take a while before they'd have any lease deals, and those things would probably sit on the lot until you could actually lease them. Now, there's some people who would rush out to finance them, but I don't really think there's that many, considering Chrysler's already done the numbers and they figured out that the Challenger is actually their best-selling car in this category, which is part of the reason why they got rid of the Chrysler 300 and part of the reason they got rid of the Chrysler 300 V8 all-wheel drive. They said, oh, well, the Challenger's outselling that 15-1, so why not just double down on the Challenger, which they basically have. They made a Demon, they made a Red Eye, so forth and so on. So then I think about the other missteps that Chrysler has made in misjudging the market. By getting rid of the Dodge Magnum, they didn't give people a choice when the mass market moved from cars to SUVs. The problem was there's so many people who couldn't afford the SUVs that they ended up buying into crossovers, which is part of the reason why the cheaper Jeeps sell so well. And Jeep is a very, very profitable brand because of that. People are basically just looking for big cars that don't cost a lot of money. And that's just the simple fact of the matter. The Dodge Dart could have been a better car, but speculation suggested that there was going to be a Dodge Dart SRT, and I really believed there was going to be one until it didn't happen. And if the Dodge Dart SRT had happened, it's very possible that the Dodge Dart might have stuck around, because then there'd be an enthusiast market for the Dodge Dart and the Dodge Dart SRT. Because there's a lot of people who, they wouldn't buy the SRT model. A lot of people would buy the regular Dart, and then they'd probably modify it. And every now and then you see a lot of Dodge Darts on the road that have modifications, but the problem is there's only so much you can do with it. Some people really appreciate it because it still has a manual, and a lot of new cars don't, including a lot of the enthusiast BMWs. Those cars have lost their manuals because everything's gone to computer-controlled all-wheel drive. X-Drive, they call it, or 4MATIC on the Mercedes cars. So my thing is, enthusiasts would have loved to keep those cars just like they kept their Dodge Avengers and their SRT Calibers and such. I would have made SRT into just about every car that was made there. So this way you'd have the choice between getting the gas guzzler fast car or just getting the regular car. That's just the bottom line. So the point of this video was, do I think there's going to be a Dodge Durango Hellcat? Well, I would have to say that I absolutely believe there absolutely should be, and there absolutely could be, because basically the Dodge Durango is basically a Jeep Grand Cherokee with a third row. Now, there are a lot of major changes to the suspension. There's a lot of major changes to some of the equipment. Obviously, the interiors don't look the same, but a lot of the base components are pretty much going to be the same. And when you think about like the drivetrain, the transmission, the engine itself, the half shafts, all of that stuff could simply be snatched right out of Jeep Grand Cherokee and put right into the Durango. And in this case, we're talking about the Trackhawk to the Durango Hellcat. But I think the thing that hurts more than anything is losing the brand. If you don't have those letters SRT on these cars, people don't recognize them. People who are not enthusiastic about Chrysler vehicles just don't recognize them. People expect to see those badges on these cars. If they see the Hellcat badge, they know or they expect that it's going to be a very, very powerful, fast car with 707 horsepower, because that number is burned into their mind. What bothers me is like when you try to explain to somebody what the Red Eye is, you have to tell them, oh, well, the Red Eye is a Hellcat, but it's got 797 horsepower. But they're not as enthusiastic about that as they are about the regular Challenger, because the problem is the people bought into the advertising. So now FCA is basically stepping back from the advertising. When I see these Scat Pack Chargers and stuff, to tell you the truth, off the top of my head, I really don't even know what kind of engine they are or what they have inside, because the problem is I've seen too much up-badging of the lower-end models. some of these cars, I don't know if they have a V6 in them or not. Like, for instance, the V6 Super Track Pack has a goddamn Hellcat hood and Hellcat body looks, but it has a fucking V6 engine. So when it comes down to things like that, if you're able to confuse me, and I know as much about the product as I know, and I bought so many of these damn cars, if you're able to confuse me, then what does that do to the average person? I mean, sooner or later, it's going to get so bad until you're going to have these goddamn losers with these Infinities and these Maximas and these Honda Accords trying to race us, and they're going to expect that we're slower than we are. And the thing about it is, even after you whip their ass, they're going to be like, oh, you debadged your car. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I bought it like this. And they're like, you're lying. And they won't understand why they lost because they'll think they were up against a V6. Meanwhile, you had a fucking Hellcat that just didn't have a badge on it, or you had something really powerful and they just didn't know. And that's what bothers me. I want to wear those badges with pride. I want that SRT badge on the car. If they have this Durango Hellcat, I expect it to obviously have a Hellcat badge on the side like the Trackhawk should have had. If they're going to have it, they should have Hellcat-style wheels. They should have Hellcat badges and shit everywhere you can see it. They should have a better-looking spoiler. Like, I mean, they need to go all out on these damn things because otherwise they just sit on the lots and nobody's excited to buy them. And you have to remember, there's a large luxury market out there who actually wants powerful cars like this and will buy them. But the problem is you have to sell them on these cars. See, me personally, at this point, I'm waiting to see what's coming. I'm waiting to see what the 2020 models look like. At this point, I've gone as far as I can go with the current generation of models. They didn't give me my Hellcat 300, and I was stuck having to either choose between a Charger or a Challenger. And I was very upset about that. The Trackhawk was a joke. Didn't have the Hellcat hood, didn't have the Hellcat wheels, didn't sound like a Hellcat should sound. It was a joke. And that's why shits are still sitting on the lots. In fact, what I should have done was I should have did Count the Trackhawks today just to rub it in the face. Say, oh yeah, these damn things are still sitting here being eaten away by rust and iron oxide on Earth's surface. Earth's geological surface is eating these cars away because you were too stupid to do what I suggested in the very first place and make these things so exciting that everybody would want to have them. If people go out and spend $150,000 on a damn Tesla Model X, or they'll go out and spend $130,000 on a BMW X7M or some shit like that, then yeah, they would spend it on this, but you have to make the case. If it was me, I would have commercials where it was nothing but the Trackhawk just beating everything. Like just one-on-one races, just beating everything. You can't make a better case than that, but these guys just aren't willing to do it. So, is there going to be a Durango Hellcat? Well, I hope to God there will be, and I hope they do it right so that these things don't sit on the lot. Most likely, if that comes out, it's going to be about $5,000 less than the Trackhawk is because the Dodge product is slightly cheaper than the Jeep product. Like the difference between a loaded Durango SRT and a loaded Trackhawk is between $5,000 and $8,000. It depends when you factor in for like the television screens and certain things that are in there that are optional. But the thing about it is the Durango Hellcat should be cheaper. And I really hope it comes out because the thing about it is there's nothing more exciting than being able to buy products that are just this cool and this outrageous. Because what's my option? I'm going to buy what? I'm going to buy a freaking Infiniti FX60? I'd rather put a bullet in my head. You want me to buy a Honda Accord? I'd rather be buried alive with snakes. It's like, no, please no. I don't want any of that. It's like people, oh yeah, well, what about the gas? You're using too much gas. It's like, well, listen, if I was worried about gas mileage, I wouldn't be driving what I'm driving. It's like, I'm not worried about none of that. So what we really need is I don't know who's in charge over it. I really don't know who's in charge of that company. Once Marconi died, I really don't even know who's in charge anymore. And I just don't know what's happening because they haven't had any press releases. I haven't seen any spy shots on Auto Spies. I haven't seen anything. So, I'm just at this point, I'm exasperated and, I'm hoping something exciting comes out because, the last thing I want to see is these liberals destroying these cars because, they got bills now in California. They're saying, yeah, well, if we catch you with a modified exhaust, we're going to give you $1,000 ticket. They're saying that, oh, we're going to put speed governors on the cars. We're going to make speed limits and everything so these cops and their piece of shit Ford Explorers will be able to catch you. It's like, come on, man. Really? Really? Is this what America's come to? That's not the America that I signed up for. Interesting. They got these Kia Stingers on the road now. People are finally actually starting to buy them. When I was in South Korea, I saw a number of them. I want to see one of these things go up against any SRT. I want to see one of these things go up against any Charger SRT. I want to see that happen. I just want to see one of those things get eaten alive so people stop talking smack online.